Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how to add beads to your knitted projects. So there's three ways you can do it. I'm going to start showing you off with a crochet hook. I have this kit, it's a boy kit. It's got different sizes and I'm starting with the smallest size, which is a 1.3 millimeter. And you can see it's a tiny, tiny little crochet hook. So we just want to make sure that the hook fits into the beads. You can always bring the beads with you if you're going to go buying for a hook. You can always bring it with you and then test it that way if you want to see it works. For most beads will tell you what size they are. So I'm going to start knitting a few stitches until I get to my stitch that I want to add my bead to. So let's say I want to add it to this stitch. Okay, so I'm going to push my work further down on my right needle because I'm going to let go of this needle now so I can use my right hand to work with a crochet hook, and I don't want to lose my stitches there. Then I take my crochet hook with a bead on it and I just come and pick up that stitch I want to bead on my left needle and I take it off. Now I'm going to push the work on my left needle down a little so I don't lose it while I work on my stitch and my bead. Now, you can see that hook thing. I like to hook my yarn into that as I pull my bead over it. You can't really see me pulling over, but I just essentially pulled it down and then I can put my stitch back on my left needle. And there you go. It's that simple. Let me show you again. I'm just going to work that stitch as normal. Let's add it to this stitch. Again, let's pick a pale color, easier for us to see. I come in here, I make sure my stitches are far enough down on the right so I don't lose them. I grab the stitch I want from my left needle and push these down a little and then focus on my seed and my stitch. My hooky thing is there. I'm just going to grab my yarn as I pull it through my bead. And there we go. Now, the crochet hook is by far the easiest. Well, no, actually, the other tool you could use is called a beetle, B-E-A-D-L-E. And I unfortunately don't have one to show you how it works, but you can find other videos to show you that. And a beetle is like a crochet hook, except that you see how it gets wider and wider? A beetle stays skinny all the way. So you can actually load up your beetle with a whole bunch of beads. So in my hook, I can put 2 beads, which isn't a lot. And then they stay right at the tip. So it kind of limits the amount of work I can do. A beetle, I'd be able to maybe put 20 or 30 beads onto it and then push them up as I need them. So it makes the work a little faster. There's less stopping and, restocking your hook. So a beetle might be, or I'm pretty sure is easier and faster than a plain crochet hook. But if you don't have a beetle and you have a crochet hook, this will work just fine. Now, beading is fun and you can add all sorts of fun beads. I like to incorporate beads for decorative, they add weight, but also to really personalize it. So I have, for example, these pendants that say made with love. And I think it's just the most amazing thing to be able to, if I make something for a niece or my kids or somebody, anybody really that I care for, I can take that pendant and put it onto a stitch, be it at the bottom of a sweater or a scarf, and just incorporate it into my knitting, and it really gives it that very special personal touch that you don't find everywhere, and it just makes it that much more unique. So beading can be like for a whole project, or it can just be one little accent like this that makes a big difference. Or let's say if you're doing a blanket and you want to adorn it with a whole bunch of, you know, seashells, because you want to make a seashell blanket on it. And these beads, because of the way the hole goes right through, they'll sit on your project like this really nicely. So to put these beads in, I did a double yarn over in the row below, because I will need that extra length of yarn so I can actually fit my bead in here like this. And let me show you how I would do that. And this will bring me also to the other way of beading. So my hook does not go all the way through because I don't have a beetle. If I had a beetle, I'd probably be able to do this with a beetle, but I don't. So I'm stuck. What can I do? So in this case, I would use floss, dental floss. And you can use this for regular beads as well. And what you do is you put it right in through the bead all the way. Oops. And you pull it. And then you're going to come and put it, in this case, my, excuse me, my really loose strand of yarn that I have here. But if you were doing it on the stitch, you would put it right through the stitch. And then you're going to go ahead and bring it back through. So I'm going to, my tail end is here, so I want to bring it back through this way to close a loop. So I'm coming back in this same hole. And it requires a little bit of patience. And there we go. So I have both ends coming out this way, and I don't want to lose them. I have my bead here and my yarn here. So I'm just going to pull it right through my bead. And there we go. I'm going to put this here because it was a double yarn over. I don't necessarily want to work this stitch right now, and it's a stitch that I might do a knit. It's a stitch I might do a knit two together here in the next row to get rid of that extra stitch, but I needed to do that to have that extra yarn to go through the size of this bead. And then I'm just going to go ahead, whoops, it's a little tricky, but you go ahead and knit into the next stitch. Now, the other thing you can do is if you have, and that'll lie flat once I get rid of my needles, it'll lie flat. The other thing you can do, which is kind of fun, is you can use Fimo and make your own beads. So these I made with clay, and I used to use them for necklaces. So they have a hole that goes right through. If I put it in my work right now, it's going to come and stand like this in the middle, so it doesn't really work. But if I put it on my last stitch, it'll be hanging at the end of my project, which kind of works in a cute way. So let me show you how this one looks. I'm going to use my hook for this. And just knit that last stitch to keep it in there. It's going to look a little bulky here at the end, but so essentially we have regular beads, and you can use seed beads or anything. I just use these because they have a nice large hole, easy for us to see. You can use pendants to add a little extra special touch to your projects. You can use these, I guess they're called filler beads, and they will lay flat on your work, and they can add a really nice special design element. I wouldn't put a lot of these, but I would just put a few spread out if you're doing a blanket or a scarf at the bottom of the scarf. If it's an ocean scarf, it might be a really nice accent. Or you can put these as well that you can make out of Fimo. I don't think everybody has a kiln at home, but they would hang off on the side. So let's say if you wanted to do a scarf and you have a whole bunch of, and you could do it with leaves. So for example, I have these beads that are leaves, and I could have them all hanging down the side, and it would be a nice decorative accent. So it's just it's just a way of personalizing your projects more and making them more you. I hope that was helpful.